Good afternoon, and thank you once again for joining us. This is Carla Harris with ImageWorks Consulting Firm, and I am joined with Andrew Rogers, Executive Director of the Skyland Workforce here in Washington, D.C. Welcome, Andrew.
Thanks for having me, Carla.
Good. We are here talking about the Hiring from the Sidelines 2017 Hiring from the Sidelines Workforce Development Conference. So Andrew, thank you again for joining us. Can you just tell our audience a little bit about what you guys do over there at Skyland Workforce?
Yeah, so Skyland Workforce Center is a project of building bridges across the river, as well as a project of the Workplace DC. We are a one-stop shop, and we provide workforce development services for the residents of the District of Columbia, as well as Maryland and Virginia. We provide everything from adult basic education training, digital literacy services, case management support, job placement support, and career readiness training. We have 5 partner organizations that work with us, and they include Samaritan Ministry, Southeast Ministry, Fight Back, Calvary Women's Services, Thrive DC, and Life Asset. And we are located at 2509 Good Hope Road.
Okay, good. Thank you. So tell me, why did you decide to be a part of the Hiring from the Sidelines training conference?
Yeah, I think, my major motivation was that as a workforce development professional, I'm committed to ensuring that we provide quality training for other workforce development professionals. I'm also a proponent of the Pathways to Self-Sufficiency approach, and was excited to be one of the people that helped ImageWorks really generate the ideas that evolved into the planning and coordination of the conference. So I'm really proud of the work that you all are doing in this space, because I think that is a needed resource for our professional community.
Good, thank you very much. So your focus is really, you are, for people who don't know, you are a data guru, right? So you love the numbers, you crunch the numbers, and a lot of workforce development can be all about the numbers. You know, who gets a job, how many are engaged, what the percentages are, and things like that. So the focus for the conference, though, is really about the humanistic approach in serving workforce development candidates. So how do you see us merging the all-important data with the humanistic approach in our service delivery efforts?
Yeah, I think that behind every number, especially when you deal in this field, behind every number is a real person. And, we really have to recognize that is at the end of the day, we are serving individuals with lives that are trying to take care of themselves and their families. And so, being able to provide metrics that measure success that goes beyond just job placement is key. And so I think that looking at it from that standpoint is important. When you look at the Washington metropolitan area, the statistical area, there's about 506,000 individuals who are below the poverty line. And within DC, there's about 110,000 individuals that are below the poverty line. And, like I said, we have to recognize that these are real people with real issues, and they're really people that are trying to find a way to build a better life for themselves. So, the work that we do should be in assistance of that and not a hindrance to.
Okay, well said. So you have been in workforce development for how long now?
Almost 10 years or so. I started actually in 2009 at the bottom of the recession as an unemployment claims examiner for the state of Virginia. and just kind of move throughout my career after that.
Mm-hmm. So what do you see as the biggest challenges in human service delivery?
Yeah, I think when you look at, there's a lot of challenges. First, I'll say, I think that there's significant challenges to the system, the structure of the system. But for the purposes of this conference, I think first and foremost is really the narrative around the individuals that we serve. We need to begin to change the language and the stigmas that are projected onto the customers that we serve day in and day out. We need to begin to put them into a different light for businesses and employers, so that they're not thinking that they're just doing charity work, but that they are actually hiring skilled, trained, talented individuals that will help them grow and enhance their businesses. And we have to ensure that, as was really kind of stated by the theme of this conference, really bring a human element to the work, and really recognize that each person that we touch is not just treated as another number or statistic, but that we see the humanity in every person that we help. I also think that as we really kind of addressed earlier, being able to provide professional development opportunities for our colleagues in the field. We've been lacking that on a local level, and a lot of times the organizations that work in this space can't afford to send their employees to national convenings. So we have to. I think that that's a big thing that hopefully can come out of this conference. And then another thing, the third and final thing I think is better coordination around funding is critical. Funders need to work with community-based organizations and other service delivery entities in developing metrics that tell the whole story about the work that's being done, not just around job placement, job retention, but being able to expand upon that. Job placement is an important measure for success, but there are several other steps that are taken before we can even get some individuals to a point where they're ready for employment. So we need to look at what are those other pieces that go into getting someone skilled and ready to work, and then not only ready to just enter into a job, but ready to be set onto a career pathway that stretches and helps them elevate and continue to progress in their careers. So I think that those are really some of the challenges that hopefully will be addressed during those 3 days in late October.
I think so around WIOA now, there's the career pathways, and there's the, so while there is focus on job placement, there's also, they're getting better in the focus on the holistic approach. So your education, your employment, and things like that. How do you believe, or do you believe that the approach that we're talking about addressing in this conference will contribute to increasing those performance measures that are very important? I mean, I don't want anyone to think that here at ImageWorks we're talking about performance not being important. We know that it's important. We know that you have to get a job, but the goal is not a job. The goal is a career, long-term, family-sustaining wages, so that people can, make decisions about what they want to do with their lives, right? So how do you believe that if we put the humanistic approach in place and marry it, or are we able, I guess, to marry it with the actual performance measures thereby increasing the performance overall?
Yeah, I believe so. I think that this conference will provide an opportunity for attendees to learn how to use different methods as they seek to provide workforce development and career development training services. And I think specifically when you look at the PSS model, it's really built for that. The PSS model will help the attendees understand how to better explain in a more concise way all of the pieces to the puzzle that go into getting somebody from a below basic level literacy rate or out of homelessness to being in an opportunity where they are thriving with self-sustaining wages to take care of their families. You know, and I think that this also kind of really benefits in two ways. One, attendees will be able to assess within their own organizations their strengths and hopefully be able to network with other partners throughout the conference to find ways to leverage resources against one another, because I think that that's a challenge in and of itself. That's another challenge I didn't mention, was the need for true collaboration among partners and different CBOs. You know, I always say, you know, is the goal, you know, to help individuals, or is the goal to keep, you know, your organization's lights on and keep things running? Because if the goal is to help individuals, you'll work towards your strengths and then find other organizations that you can leverage those resources off of and work together more effectively and efficiently. But then also the PSS model helps to really it really helps to explain and articulate to funders the intricacies of the work. And that way, hopefully we can advocate for more funding and be able to recognize the need for new metrics that assess, you know, the success of our programs, and demonstrate that there's a transformative approach that's happening with what we're trying to accomplish.
And just for our audience, the PSS model is Pathways to Self-Sufficiency. It's a model that was based in Massachusetts, and it's one that the Council for Workforce Development has subscribed to, and it is about taking 5 specific areas of assessment and applying it and teaching candidates how to apply it to themselves so that they, along with their workforce development coach, can move them sort of along the pathway seamlessly. So I noticed that when you talked about changing the language, that's one of our goals too at ImageWorks, is to really put more of a focus on workforce development or professional development. So you and I, as professionals, when we need to surround ourselves with people, if we need some motivation or inspiration, we call mentors, we call life coaches, we call those folks who are able to give us the kind of support that we need. And my goal personally is to create those same kinds of support systems for our workforce development candidates. So first of all, in my mind, they're not customers, they're not clients, they're candidates. What is a candidate doing? A candidate is looking for employment. I think it also works with the employer to present our candidates as just that, a candidate seeking employment, not a customer or a client looking to purchase a service. And I also think that, you know, in the private sector, we call what we do professional development. When we change that language, you know, when we come over to the government side, it's called workforce development. So, you know, it's sort of like, you know, my mother used to say, you know, you speak what you want, right? You speak it into existence. So when we talk about professional development, do you think that using that positive, proactive terminology would be more beneficial than using words like workforce development or customer or client versus professional development, candidate, job seeker, those things?
No, most definitely. I definitely think that. And I think, we need to really begin to start to change the narrative in a very real way. And I'm glad that you said candidate, because that's something that now I can add to my vernacular. Like, taking it and stop looking at businesses as employers. Businesses aren't in the business to employ people. They're in the business to turn profits. And They do that by the work that their employees do. The same way, job seekers and candidates, they're even though there's a customer service aspect to it, you're right, they are candidates for employment. And what we're trying to do here is train and cultivate a skilled talent pool for businesses to be able to tap into and find the human capital that they need to effectively run their businesses. So I think that we need to begin to change it on a professional level like that. But then I also need to think that when we talk about changing the narrative, we really just need to begin to change the way that areas like the one that I work in, where Skyland is located, are perceived. There's a lot of debate around the term east of the river. There's a lot of debate around using words like under-resourced or underserved. And we need to make sure that we are careful with the names and the labels that we're placing on the people that we're working with. We can't continue to draw negative pictures around these the individuals that we work with. We have to begin to cast a more positive light, because for so many years, especially in a lot of the areas that I'm mentioning, they've gone to under-resourced schools. They've gone to disadvantaged. They come from disadvantaged neighborhoods, and we have to begin. And they, in some instances, people can internalize that for themselves. Yeah, so we have to begin to change that narrative so that people aren't internalizing the language, negative language, but that they're internalizing positive language. That I like the term opportunity youth versus disconnected youth. I like the term of developing a skilled, talented pipeline versus serving the customers that we work with, or serving the participants that we work with. So we need to be able to change those pieces as well.
Okay, so we're coming to the end of our time, but what would you want? If you could give me 3 things that you would want the attendees of our conference to walk away with, what would they be?
I think again, I think that the most important thing is just the recognition that we're dealing with real people, again, with real issues, and I think that there's a moral duty to humanity that we provide, that we need to provide to every resident, that they have access to quality education, training, and training programs and supports that will help them provide not only for themselves, but to be able to have sustainable streams of income that will help elevate their families out of poverty. Because again, like I stated, in the Washington metro area, there's 503,000 individuals that fall below the poverty line. And within the 68 square miles of the district, that number is 110,000. So we want to be able to make sure that we are providing that access. The other thing really is around collaboration and working together. That hopefully through this conference we'll be able to network with each other. We'll be able to build relationships that can then form into partnerships, and we'll be able to work together and leverage each other's strengths and weaknesses. Leverage each other's strengths to meet our weaknesses, because not one entity, not one government agency, not one CBO can go at this alone. It's a public workforce system, and it's a collective, and we need to begin to figure out ways to move the pendulum by working together. I know that was two, but those are but two things that are just pressing.
That's good. That's good. That's good. So thank you again for being with us. Just some logistics. So it's the Hiring from the Sidelines training conference. This is for workforce development and social service professionals. It's October 25th, 6th, and 7th, right here in Washington, D.C. And our website for additional information is isyourimagworking.com. And our phone number is 202-450-4246. We have 3 jam-packed days that we are going to just pour into the professionals that will come. Andrew Rogers, Executive Director of Skyland Workforce, will be one of our speakers. If you've tuned in previously, we also have had Kendra Smith, who is going to be a speaker, and Peter Harris, who's a speaker. We also have Dr. Thomas Gordon, who will be our keynote on the second day. And our goal really is to just humanize human services. So Andrew, thank you again for being with us. Just 2 other pieces of logistics. Number one is this conference is in partnership with the Council for Workforce Development. So a portion of the Salvation Army of the National Area Command, and Major James Hall, who is over the area here in Washington, D.C. And it's because of sponsorships like the Salvation Army that we are able to provide scholarships for those community nonprofits so that they can send their employees who work in workforce development. So we will give you all of that information if you just give us a call. The number again is 202-450-4246. And our website is isyourimagworking.com. And it's the 2017 Hiring from the Sidelines Conference, October 25th, 6th, and 7th. Andrew, thank you again so much, and we will see you in October.
Sounds good. Thank you again for the invitation to speak.